he's a fan at heart, and we do have him on the line again. President and CEO of All Elite Wrestling AEW, Tony Khan, joins us here on Busted Open. Tony, how are you today?
I'm very well, Dave. How are you?
Great, and we really appreciate you joining the show, and it was great being a part of that historic event on Saturday with Double or Nothing. And now that the dust has kind of settled a little bit, and it's been a couple of days since Saturday, how are you feeling?
I feel awesome. Not surprised that it was a great show. We knew going in we expected to have a great show, but it still feels great that we have it under our belt and that we can hang our hat on that we've done this great show.
Now, if we can only get Nick Foles to make a big run into the playoffs, life would be perfect.
That would be perfect. And by the way, Mark, one of the real highlights after the show was over for me was getting to spend time with you and getting to talk to you. And the talk of the media after the post-show media scrum was how great of an interviewer Mark is. It was all people wanted to talk about. It was really a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. And you know, we have so many questions, and we debated whether or not we were going to be comical like we normally always are, or we were going to be serious. And we had questions already prepared that we were going to lob some little things up to see kind of where we were going to go with this. But I think we're going to go straight after it. And, you know, my questions, you know, are more business questions. They're more structural questions. And I wanted to know, when did you know that you were going to financially back a pro wrestling company?
I decided early last year, when the negotiations for new TV contracts were happening around WWE and the numbers were coming in, that it was a very good time for live sports television, seeing, you know, not just WWE, but also I'm heavily involved in the NFL. I know what's going on with our TV rights negotiations, and I'm familiar with a lot of what's happening in major sports as far as rights fees and, you know, the interest among the big networks in wrestling and live sports in general. And I knew that there were going to be a lot of great wrestlers, great performers coming up with the ability to start working for us in the beginning of 2019. Not everybody was getting out on the same day, but I knew that around the start of 2019, there were going to be more performers out of contract than ever before. And there was also more opportunity in media than ever before. So it just seemed like the right time to do it. It's something I've always wanted to do, something I've always been interested in doing. But, you know, as a business person, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think it was the right time and the right place for this.
You know, Tony, I was a part of, you know, Sirius NFL Radio for 13 years. And obviously, there's no audience like an NFL audience. You know that, being a part of the Jaguars. But now I host this show full-time, 5 days a week. I think that shows the power and the popularity right now of pro wrestling. And you talk about timing. I mean, this really is the perfect time for AEW to start.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. And, you know, the power of the NFL, there's no sports property and maybe no media property more important or more powerful than the National Football League. And I've learned so much being a part of it, being an owner in the NFL. And I think my dad is not a hardcore fan of pro wrestling, but he's a great businessman. And I made a great business case for this and took it to him, and it wasn't easy to get him to buy into it, no pun intended, because that's the name of our pay-per-view pre-show, the buy-in. It wasn't easy to get him to buy into it, but he did. He got really excited about it, and we were able to, you know, launch what I think is going to be a great wrestling company that has already done, I think, one of the great wrestling pay-per-views. And we're going to do a lot more great pay-per-views. We're going to do a lot of great television, and it's going to be great for wrestling fans. You know, I think we have started delivering on some of the promises we've been making, which is awesome because, you know, it was our first real chance to go out and deliver for people. I promised people a great show, and I feel like we delivered it. And, you know, we promised people we were going to bring wrestling back to television, back to primetime television. And there had been other wrestling shows that were available in primetime television, but not at the same scale that we offered. One of the things I didn't get into in my post-fight scrum when we were talking and Mark was asking these amazing questions that kind of opened the eyes of the wrestling media that Mark is now not only a great wrestler, but he's now also one of the best people in the wrestling media. And something I didn't get to touch base on is how exciting it was for me that Keith Mitchell and his team are producing wrestling at this level again. Mm-hmm. Because Keith Mitchell has been producing wrestling since WCW folded, but nothing like this. And nothing of this scale, nothing of this magnitude. And when he was able to work with the resources that we provided him and put together a show of this scale, the size of the arena, the scope of the arena, the lighting package we put together, but Keith is as good as anyone in the business. Keith and his team have done as many pay-per-views as anybody ever in the business outside of the core WWE group with Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn. I just think Keith did an awesome job.
Tony, can I call you Tony, or we are Mr. Khan?
Yeah, please.
Mark, I love the fact, too. You notice when he's talking about the media scrum after the event, the great and wonderful questions you asked, mentioned nothing about my questions that I asked during that media scrum. It's all about the Hall of Famer Mark Henry. Unbelievable.
You are chasing a hug right now to go straight to Bully Ray. You are chasing a hug right now. Okay. My next question was, we know how important television distribution is. Can you talk about AEW's distribution strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be doing a live weekly television show on TNT that's going to debut in the prime time this fall. And we're going to also be distributing to a number of other top wrestling markets. I can't specifically say where the TV is going to be. And then as far as pay-per-view distribution, I think our partners were awesome for this show. We've got, like I said, I think we've done a great show. We have that under our belt now. And the folks at Bleacher Report Live, they were awesome. The cable and satellite carriers from In Demand, working with, all the cable carriers and DirecTV and Dish Network. That's been great. Really like the people at Fight. And ITV Box Office did an amazing job with this show, and I think we're going to be really, really happy when the numbers come in from England and the UK in general, that the support from ITV was so great, and I really would like to be partners with them for a long time. I talked to them today, right before we did this interview, actually, and they're very, very excited. I spend a lot of my time in London, and I've been planning this with them for a long time, and I'm going to get back to London here in the next week and get back with those guys and keep planning to do more great things in the UK. And I can't say enough great things about domestically here in the United States, how great it is to have wrestling back on Turner Networks with Warner Media, with TNT. They are a wrestling network, for better or for worse. There are a few channels that have been really successful in our lifetimes broadcasting wrestling, and TNT is absolutely one of them, as much as anyone. And I think it's really cool they're back in the wrestling business.
Is it just TV, or will it be like the over-the-top distribution and social media?
Well, they did it for this show. They did the Bleacher Report Live for this show, Mark. For the over-the-top distribution. Now, it's a great question you're asking, and it's probably putting the cart before the horse a little bit on doing, streaming services and things of that nature. I think there will be demand for it. Right now, for 2019 and going forward this year, two big things I'm really focusing on launching are pay-per-views, as we have done with these traditional shows, and then obviously this primetime live television product.
Tony, obviously Mark and I, Bully too, we've talked a lot about AEW leading into what we saw this past weekend. And the one thing that excited me as a pro wrestling fan was when Cody said wins and losses matter. It's going to be more of a sporting feel to the product. coming out of Saturday, the fact that you kind of opened up the doors, let the media in, had the media scrum with the talent, that's something that's unprecedented when it comes to pro wrestling. And I really love that sports feel. Is that something that you really wanted to show with this company moving forward?
Yeah, and I really don't know any other way, honestly, because, we come from the NFL and English football. And for me, I've been through hundreds of post-fight, post-match, post-game press conferences, and I don't know any other way than to be, open and direct with you guys. And I've always had a really good relationship with the media that cover the teams. So we don't really know, as the Khan family, we don't know another way than to be, open and sharing with you guys. I really enjoy interacting with you guys and everyone in the post-fight scrums. And we did this one, but we've also done these after we've done, our debut press conferences. And, I've gone out and talked to the media, Cody, the Young Bucks. And, I really, I do enjoy it. I think the fans enjoy it, and I'm glad you guys enjoy it. And most importantly, I'm glad it makes your guys' jobs easier, because we want you to support us.
Yeah, it does.
It really does.
Good.
Tony, we always find a way to bring stuff back to food. At least I do. And spending as much time as you do in England and in Europe, what's your favorite food, and what do you think about Nando's?
I love steakhouses. I end up eating at a lot of steakhouses, and I kind of alternate between fish and steak.
Are you a Nando's fan or familiar?
I love Nando's. It's a good spot.
Mark, we get Tony Khan on. You're asking about Nando's. What the hell is
Dave.
What the hell is a Nando?
You can eat at Nando's. It's great. I have all the time in the world for you guys. So I blocked it out. We can talk about whatever you want. And thank you. It's a softball question, really. Thank you. Instead of asking like the probing hard-nosed questions, that's okay. But it's valid.
One thing, and I've said this on the show many times, Tony, is that my daughter, who's 15 years old, her and her friends in high school, already fans of AEW before the first show even came down. She had the AEW t-shirts, her and her friends. Like, you have really been able to tap into an audience that I feel like the WWE hasn't been able to tap into. And that is that teenage audience, that 20-year-old audience. And that's kind of an audience that's escaped pro wrestling over the last decade or two. Was that a conscious effort of you to tap into that young audience?
Yes, it was a conscious effort, but I'm not surprised by it. It's been basically, I think our stuff skews younger, and this show was very different from our social media. This pay-per-view was not like an episode of Being the Elite. Mm-hmm. If you watched it, you probably got the sense that a lot of these guys were very anxious to go out and have great matches. And I can't say enough about the performances, and I have to single out the EVP. Because they earned it. The performances that Kenny Omega, the performances of the Young Bucks, and the performance Cody put out there, like, you guys put their money where their mouth is, not just as executives, but also as performers. I mean, those final three matches were about as good as anything you're going to see, and their opponents, respectively, Chris Jericho, the Lucha Brothers, and Dustin Rhodes, were outstanding as well. And we came out of the show, like I said, bell to bell. I think not just the final three matches, but everything. The tag matches, the best friends, the women's three-way that became a women's four-way match, SCU and OWE, all the matches delivered. The title segment, I thought Brett was an amazing surprise.
Yep.
And it was so great to have him there, and it gave a great rub to those young guys that were with him. So I thought everybody did a great job in their spots and delivered, which is, what you need to have a great show. But we were really focused on the bell-to-bell. But I think our stuff skews young because we have, young, exciting performers. And I think there's something about social media now that people are more engaged with their celebrities. They're more engaged with their sports stars than ever before. Mm-hmm. And, people can spot a phony. And I think young people can spot a phony. And it's funny because have you guys seen Wayne's World?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was my life in my teen and 20s.
Party time. Excellent.
Remember when Russell tells the guy from Noah's Arcade, kids can spot a phony, and the Noah's Arcade guy, kids don't know anything. Well, Russell, who ironically I think is the same actor, is that Kurt Fuller? He played the villain in No Holds Barred.
Yes.
He's the one
Good call, Tony.
Kids are smart. Kids can spot a phony, and I think that's true. And I was a kid when I saw that movie, and that rang true with me, and I believe it. And I think young people can spot when somebody believes what they're saying and they don't believe what they're saying. And when I was a kid, I really did believe what Ric Flair and Randy Savage and Bret Hart were saying in their promos. And I think that there's got to be some believability. And when you see a guy, reading off a teleprompter or even the mental teleprompter, just trying to recite a script and trying to remember, kind of looking up in the air like, oh, God, I forgot a line. It really, it's very hard to suspend disbelief when you don't believe in the wrestler, don't believe in the performer, don't believe that in the real-life situation that's unfolding. And so, like I said, I'm not surprised that we're drawing these young viewers. It was definitely kind of part of the plan going in. I think we have some social media stuff that we do, specifically what the job, being the elite, the job the guys do on being the elite, putting that show together is amazing. Nick in particular is such a multi-talented young guy. In addition to just being like one of the best wrestlers in the world, Nick Jackson's also such a great creative mind who does an amazing job editing BTE every week. Again, BTE is going to be a lot different than the wrestling show we do, but that's the point is, we're going to provide, as I've always said, a serious sport-based product with the best wrestling, with the best bell-to-bell, along the lines of what you saw on this show. And to be straightforward about something you're going to notice more and more in our shows is they're going to take place in and around the ring. Like, we're not going to go out of the arena. We're not going to spend half the show backstage, in dressing rooms or, backstage choreographed segments. I'm really interested in focusing on the matches, and there's plenty of time, outside the matches to focus on storyline advancement, to focus on the funny sketches, and we can do all that. And nobody does that comedy better than our guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing funnier in wrestling than BTE, but there's a time and a place for it. And, that's why, before the Bucks and the Lucha Bros went out to settle their issue, which is a very serious issue between these teams, and go out and have a very serious, very fast-paced, excellent wrestling match to tell the story of the issue that's taken place between these teams. That's why we weren't doing comedy bits right before the guys went to the ring, because it was a serious match, and it was a great match. And, there's a time and a place for everything. That's why we didn't have, Matt making Michael Nakazawa jokes in the middle of the match, because that stuff is amazing, and people love BTE, but you don't want to do ha-ha funny when you're doing a serious wrestling show. And we have a great balance between the two, and I think we're going to keep doing that.
So, Tony, what's the driver, and why did AEW get this far so fast?
Well, it's funny. I mean, it's all according to plan, Mark. I mean, even last summer, I kind of had the idea the summer was going to be like this. I mean, the stuff we had laid out is, I really wanted to do a Memorial Day show. I really wanted to do All Out, which is what we're going to do. Something along the lines of what the guys were doing with All In, with the same fans in the same marketplace, but have it be our show under our banner, and with the same spirit of fans and excitement. And, we've done Double or Nothing. We're going to do All Out. The other show I felt really strongly about was Fight for the Fallen. And all these things have fallen into place. We've done Double or Nothing. We're doing Fight for the Fallen July 13th in Jacksonville. And I felt really strongly about doing a show in, my hometown of Jacksonville, where there have been a lot of violent crimes, specifically a lot of tragedies involving gun violence, and really wanted to do something positive for the community and bring them AEW and show my hometown and doing, my family's amphitheater adjacent to our football stadium to show all these people that support us and even the people that work with us and the staff of the Jaguars and the players and everybody that covers the team, have everybody able to go to one place and see AEW. And then the performers love it too. The guys love coming to Jacksonville now because the Jaguars organization really treats the AEW performers like we're all one big family, which we are. That's just how we do things. It's a family business. All of my businesses are family businesses. And I'm not surprised we've gotten big because we've done everything according to the plan, Mark. And, the next step in the plan was to get the primetime TV launch. Everything's gone to plan. And,
wow.
I'm sure there'll be things that won't go to plan. But, almost everybody I wanted to get, we've gotten. We've got a roster that, to me, I can't believe we did it, but we've done it. We've gotten all the performers, essentially, that you'd want to get to headline these shows that are going to be the guys that are going to be there for you week in, week out for the TV show. And we have a deep roster, too. And I've always talked about I'm not really interested in doing a lot of, 5-6 nights on the week touring and keeping the wrestlers away from their homes, away from their families, and away from other things they might have going on in their life. I always use the example when I'm asked about work-life balance of Dr. Britt Baker, who I think is like such a great spokesperson for our company, is such a great face for our company, and that's why I've really personally put a lot of effort into promoting Britt and bringing Britt along to things like the network upfront, because she's a great person, a great example for this company of our mission. For Britt to be able to live both of her dreams, not to have to make this really tough decision. Do I want to be a star wrestler, or do I want to be a doctor? Do I want to be a dentist and practicing? And she wanted to do both. And I don't think there was another company that could have provided her both qualities of life, where she could operate her dental practice, and it's not going to be a complete strain on it. There might be times where she's got to reschedule some stuff, but she's going to be able to carry her practice, take care of her patients, and also live out this career and be a star in our company. She's a really important person in our women's division. She's a great wrestler. She's a great person and a great headliner. And, I think, we've really helped make that possible for her. And I want to keep doing that for people. And it's not just people working outside of AEW. There's a lot of people that we employ now full-time with full-time health benefits that are doing a full-time job for us. When we're up doing TV, it's not like we're going to be on the road, even though we're going to be in a different city every week doing TV. It's not like we're going to be doing, 5-6 shows a week, even then, in a full-time schedule.
Tony, this has been, I'm sorry to cut you off because this has been absolutely tremendous. Next time you're in New York, we got to get you in dinner on Mark Henry, but we truly appreciate the time today, Mark. Thank you so much, Tony.
Really, I'd love to come visit you guys. I got all the time in the world for you and for Mark, especially. Mark, it was a real pleasure meeting you, Dave. Real pleasure talking to you as well. And I look forward to staying in touch with you guys.